Alright fam, this is Stefanie at the Stefanie Shepley channel. Super original name. Hitting you up with another story, another embarrassing story, because I am full of great embarrassing stories, because it doesn't stop. Anyway, so this year I had the amazing, wonderful opportunity to go to Africa on a study abroad, and more specifically, I went to Senegal and Morocco. Now, if you don't know where Senegal... Well, okay, so this story happens in Senegal. And if you don't know where Senegal is, I can't help you because the only map in our room doesn't have Africa on it because it fell off and we can't find it anywhere, which was very awful and annoying when I came back from Africa because it's not there. So anyway, in Senegal, we would study in this place called WARC, which is the West African Research Center, right? We would study there, and then we would go and we studied a lot of cool things, and then we would go out to lunch or go explore, and sometimes we would be left out to ourselves. Sometimes we had really strict programs and things. And we would almost never, well, we would usually walk home, but sometimes get taxis. And our home was this little place called Mermoz, and in the middle there was a mosque, because Senegal is like 95% Muslim. So in the middle was a mosque, and then the houses were around it, like a kind of neighborhood thing. So one day, we were left to ourselves, and I didn't want to do anything with anybody because I was tired of looking at the same people. So everyone went off to do whatever, working on their research project or helping other people, I don't know. So I stayed at the West African Research Center by myself. I read my book, my French book that we were reading. And I ate my lunch, and it was great. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, I need to go home now. And I was all by myself, which you shouldn't do when you're traveling usually. But Senegal's really safe. So I was like, oh, that's chill. So I jumped in a taxi, and I'm like, okay, I know where I'm going. But while I was in the taxi, I was like, wait, do I know how to get to my house from the mosque in my neighborhood? And I was like, you know what? When I get there, we'll just come back. It'll just be great. So he drops me off at the mosque. I'm like, I'm here. I made it. I didn't die, but I was. It's cool. So he dropped me off, and then I was like, okay, let me try. So I started walking around. I'm like, I'll just keep walking, and then eventually I'll find it. So I kept walking and walking and walking, and it was not working. It was hot. I was alone, and there were people staring at me. And then finally I was like, okay, I need some help. So I go up to these two teenage boys, and I'm like, hey, guys. And they're like, oh, hey, what's up? And I'm like, I'm lost. Will you please help me find this big tree that is next to where I live? Because everywhere in Senegal, there's these big trees called Baobab trees that look like they have roots on the top instead of on the bottom. And I'm like, I'm looking for this big Baobab tree. Please help me find the big Baobab tree. And they look at me like, you do realize that Senegal is full of big baobab trees. They're everywhere. How are we supposed to know? And I'm like, but the really big one. And they're like, so the cute guys, they walk around and they ask some people who turned out not to even be from the place, and they walked around. I'm like, I'll just keep walking. I'll find it. So I kept walking around and around, having a grand old time in the sand, randos looking at me. I'm like, this is great. This is so fun. I'm lost in Africa. So I kept walking. And then, I got back onto the main road. I'm like, this is definitely wrong. So I went back, and then finally I found the same guys again. And this whole time I was praying, like, please, I don't want to be lost forever. Like, come on. So I found the 2 teenage boys again. And then they were like, you're still lost? And I was like, I'm still lost. So they're like, what's the name of your family? And I was like, can I remember? It's like, okay, this is the name. This is the name of my family. They're like, wait, is there a girl in this family that's called that has this name? And I'm like, yes, yeah. So he's like, I know her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a miracle. So he calls my host sister on the phone. And then we wait. And she comes out just dying of laughter because I'm like, what, yards from their house. And I was completely lost. I'm a buffoon with directions. So that was my fun story about being lost in a foreign country. Fun times. I don't recommend it, but if you happen to be in Senegal, don't worry. People are nice. All right. Bye. Oh my gosh.